to the architecture of the brain as a logic processor. Okay, let's summarize. Perceiver and server strategies are sufficient to perform single, isolated actions. The magnetoencephalographic signal was collected in a visually guided response finger selection go/no-go task. The minimum norm distributed source analysis identified the sources in bilateral superior parietal lobules, server and perceiver, with stronger activity for contralateral finger movement. Our results suggest that the human superior parietal lobule, or server in the left hemisphere and perceiver in the right hemisphere, plays a role in the spatial selection in a visuomotor task similar to that identified recently in monkeys. Putting it together, perceiver analysis can therefore release habits, and server strategy, as we will see in another episode, can mimic actions. This server trait in particular allows the brain to boot up through initial stages of childhood development. Any sequencing of these perceiver and server directed actions, though, involves contributor strategy. A parietal premotor network is sufficient to store visual temporospatial sequences in short-term memory, and in situations when the planning and preparing of a predictable sequence of actions is required, then the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex might be recruited. As action proceeds, the right hemisphere dorsolateral CR region observes changes in the environment, as they are reported perhaps by Weltanschauung, and adjusts the plan as necessary to adapt to them. This result is important as it shows for the first time that conscious change perception is associated with normal activity in the right dorsolateral prefrontal, or CR, cortex. The left hemisphere contributor CL area, on its part, scans through the OR structure of planning and memory, and moves to alternatives or contingencies as necessary. Each time that one element is explored by CL, the rest is grayed out into darkness. Heidegger, as a contributor, confirms to us that a focus by CL on some particular characteristic causes the rest of what is seen by his mind to become dim. He states that this graying out is accompanied by a kind of focusing or zooming in. All right, we've now identified this start button in the brain for economics. It is the will in left hemisphere contributor CL, located in the dorsolateral area 46, working in conjunction with the frontal eye fields. Brodmann area 46, or contributor, seems to be associated with the selection of response, whereas areas 9 and 8, FEF, or frontal eye field, seem crucial for the maintenance of the representations. That brings us to another question. What is it that controls this top-level CL controller? The answer is surprising. We are told by one researcher that imaging studies of cue-induced craving suggest that craving is mediated by several brain substrates, which include the left dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, or CL. Another confirms that cocaine users activated the anterior cingulate facilitator and left dorsolateral prefrontal CL cortices. This dorsolateral region responds to food as well as to drugs. A novel finding in this study was a highly significant response to taste in the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. If the if-then structure in the left dorsolateral region, or CL, does not activate, then we will eat even when we are not hungry. Compared with lean men, obese men had consistently less postprandial after-meal activation in the left dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, irrespective of meal size. We conclude that biological needs, as well as cravings, are all mediated by the CL left hemisphere dorsolateral region. Let's think about that for a moment. If CL should ever operate by itself, without some kind of kinship or Dasein structure of being that could harness its initiatives, then the result might well be social disaster. History, in fact, confirms to us that this is exactly what happens. Facilitator philosopher Thomas Hobbes, for instance, lived during one time when the kinship of the Middle Ages and its absolute monarchy had broken down, and the Dasein of a modern exchange economy had not yet developed. He pictured the result of a broken society. There is no place for industry, because the fruit thereof is uncertain, and consequently no culture of the earth, no navigation, nor use of the commodities that may be imported by sea, no commodious building, no instruments of moving and removing such things as require much force, no knowledge of the face of the earth, no account of time, no arts, no letters, no society, and, which is worst of all, continual fear and danger of violent death, and the life of man, solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short. It may seem strange to some man that has not well weighed these things, that nature should thus dissociate and render men apt to invade and destroy one another. Today also, those who break up a primitive kinship-based social system can find that the result is an ungovernable mass of individuals and a failed state. So, economics must involve a form of being, if it is to trigger within a social grouping, and that means a transfer of data from CL to a cognitive FL in the minds of those individuals that make up the group. So, let's move our attention to the left hemisphere anterior cingulate FL region. We confirm, first of all, that it is very much involved in the CL-CR if-then logic system. Here's a quote which I will read and then summarize. The spatio-temporal analysis of brain activation during the execution of conditional reasoning tasks, the four inference forms, modus ponens, modus tollens, affirming the consequent and denying the antecedent, was performed. Dipole source analysis of the difference wave suggested that a generator localized in the left anterior cingulate cortex, BA24 or FL, was involved in the activation and the application of the inference rules. ERP components of the 5 tasks were similar in the subsequent time period between 700 and 1700 milliseconds. Following that period, a greater negativity in the reasoning tasks, in comparison to the baseline task, developed between 1700 and 2000 milliseconds post-stimulus over the left frontocentral scalp regions. A generator of this effect was located in the right anterior cingulate cortex, BA24 or FR, and was possibly related to cognitive control. The results indicate that the cingulate cortex was activated by conditional reasoning tasks. Summarizing, FL appears to process the if of a CL-initiated if-then, and about a second later, FR will then process the then. Now, let's not forget a very important condition. FL and FR will do these tasks if these twin facilitator regions have become cognitive within the mind.